Level 1. The Bedroom Developer. You are 17 years old, and you have been taking apart video games in your head since you were 8. Not playing them, taking them apart. Asking why the jump feels the way it feels. Why the music changes when the enemy appears. Why the color drains from the screen when the character is dying. You see the decisions inside the experience, the way a carpenter sees joinery inside a chair, and you have decided you want to be the person making those decisions. You download a free game engine on a Tuesday night and you start building something. Not a good something. A something. A room with a character that moves and a platform the character can jump on, and a camera that follows the character badly. It takes you 4 weeks to build what a professional would build in an afternoon. You don't care. The 4 weeks taught you more than 4 months of watching tutorials, because making something broken teaches you exactly where the understanding runs out. You post it to a forum. 3 people try it. One leaves a comment that says, "The jump feels floaty." You spend the next week fixing the jump. The jump still feels floaty. You spend another week. It starts to feel like something. You are 17 years old, and you are learning that the difference between floaty and good is the difference between guessing and understanding, and the understanding only comes from iterations that nobody else will ever see. You make 4 more games before you graduate high school. None of them are finished. All of them teach you something the previous one couldn't. Level 2. The Student. You get into a game design program. Your parents asked if you were sure. You were sure. The program teaches you things the bedroom taught you differently, and fills in gaps the bedroom couldn't fill. Programming, art pipeline, audio implementation, level design theory, the history of the medium from Pong to the present. You absorb it the way people absorb things they were already moving toward. Your first team project puts you in a room with 5 people who have 5 different ideas about what the game should be and no shared language for resolving the conflict. You spend 3 weeks arguing about the concept, and 4 weeks building something that is a compromise of everyone's idea and a full expression of nobody's. You present it, and the feedback is honest, and you take notes, and you learn something that the technical curriculum never covers. Games are made by people, and people are the hardest part. The engine never argues back. You build a small game for your thesis, alone this time. You control every decision. The game is small and specific and strange and entirely yours. You submit it to 3 student festivals. It gets into 2 of them. A recruiter from a mid-sized studio plays it at one of them and hands you a card. Level 3. The Junior Developer. You are hired as a junior game designer at a studio with 80 people making a mid-budget action game. Your salary is $52,000. You are responsible for a section of the game that players will spend approximately 4 minutes in, and that took 4 months to build, and that will be redesigned twice before shipping, because the creative director plays it in review and says it doesn't feel right, and feel is the word this entire industry runs on. You learn the pipeline. The way a design document becomes a blockout, becomes a playable level, becomes a polished experience, through a chain of decisions made by people who are all trying to make it better and occasionally making it different without making it better. You learn to advocate for your decisions in review without being precious about them. The game is not yours. It is the team's. Your contribution to the team is your clearest thinking, not your attachment to it. You sit in a playtesting session and watch a person encounter your section for the first time. They get stuck in a place you never anticipated. They try the same wrong solution for times before giving up. You watch silently because that is the rule of playtesting. You rewrite the section that night. You watch the next tester move through it naturally. That correction, invisible to the player and everything to the designer, is the job. Most of the job looks exactly like that. Level 4, the designer. 3 years in. You ship your first game. The release date arrives on a Tuesday, and the game appears on storefronts, and players you will never meet download it and play it, and encounter the section you built, and feel the thing you intended, or don't. And either way, the thing you made exists in the world now and cannot be recalled. You read reviews. The section you built gets mentioned in one of them, not by name. The reviewer says, the mid-game environment design is the strongest part of the package. You read that sentence 4 times. You are trusted with more now. A lead designer asks your opinion in a meeting and takes notes when you give it. You are building a reputation inside the building for a particular kind of thinking. Spatial, systemic, concerned always with how the player feels rather than what the player does. That reputation is the asset you are building alongside the games. Level 5. The Senior Designer. You make decisions that shape the experience of millions of people who will never know your name. You run the design of an entire system, the combat, the economy, the progression, the piece of the machine that players will interact with thousands of times, over dozens of hours. You balance it by playing it. You balance it by watching others play it. You balance it by looking at data that tells you where players stop, where they succeed too easily, where the curve breaks. You mentor junior designers. You watch them make the mistakes you made, and you intervene at exactly the right moment and stay silent at all the others, because the mistakes they make themselves are the ones they keep. You were patient. You remember what patience from a senior felt like when it was given to you. Level 6, the lead designer. You lead a team of 8 designers on a project that has been in development for 3 years and will be in development for 2 more. You run the design reviews. You make the calls that the creative director used to make before the project grew large enough to require distribution. Every decision filters through you before it filters up. You are the layer between creative vision and creative execution, and the translation is never perfect. And you have learned that imperfect translation towards something great is better than perfect translation towards something safe. You present the game to the publisher. A room of business people who play games occasionally and fund them consistently ask you questions about market positioning and comparable titles and monetization strategy. You answer in their language because you have learned their language. You go back to the studio and sit in a design review and speak your own language again. You are bilingual in a way that took years and that most developers don't develop, and that makes you increasingly valuable as you move up. Level 7, the creative director. The game is yours now, in the way that something made by 200 people can belong to one person's vision. You set the direction. You make the calls that cannot be delegated. You walk the floor of the studio, and you look at what's on everyone's screens, and you feel the game taking shape the way a sculptor feels. A form emerging, and you make adjustments with conversations rather than hands. You cut a feature that 12 people spent 4 months building. The feature is good. It doesn't fit. You make the decision in a meeting, and you watch the faces of the people who built it, and you explain clearly and directly why the game is better without it, and you mean it, and it is still one of the hardest things the job requires. You buy the team lunch the next day. Not as an apology. As an acknowledgement that good work that doesn't ship is still good work. The game ships. The reviews arrive. An 89 on the aggregate review score. Your studio celebrates. The publisher expresses satisfaction. You go home and play a section of the game that didn't turn out the way you intended, and you sit with it for a long time, cataloging what you'll do differently next time. Level 8, the studio head. You run the studio now. Creative direction is part of the job. Business is now equal to it. Hearing. Project selection. The relationship with the publisher that funds everything. The retention of talent in an industry that moves people between studios, the way other industries move inventory. You are responsible for 200 people's livelihoods and for the creative output that justifies them. You greenlight a project pitched by a team of junior developers. It is small and specific and strange and entirely theirs. You recognize something in it. You clear the resources. You stay out of the way. Level 9, the industry figure. Your name means something beyond your studio. You speak at conferences. You sit on panels. Young developers record your talks on their phones and re-watch them in their bedrooms while working on their own games. You judge competitions, and you see the work of people who grew up playing the games you made and who are now making games that are responses to yours. That continuity is something you sit with quietly. Level 10, the legacy. You are 58. You have shipped 14 games. 2 of them changed what people thought games could be. The rest were good and honest and made by people who cared. You walk through a museum exhibition about the history of the medium, and there is a section devoted to 2 of your games, and there are people in that section who were not alive when those games shipped. A 17-year-old downloaded a free game engine last Tuesday. They built a room with a character and a platform and a camera that follows badly. The jump feels floaty. They are already fixing it. They have no idea what they just started. They'll figure it out. They always do. The cycle continues.